Hey, what's up all you peeps on the internet? This is your girl, Rhodes Fox, and today we're going to be talking about some Cyberpunk. And not just some Cyberpunk in relation to the Cyberpunk verse, in fact some Cyberpunk in relation to a game that I personally feel had a very similar start. And that's where this game's music is coming from, Mass Effect Andromeda. So here we go. So these two games had a very similar start on how they both released kind of like crap. But good news is I still really liked Mass Effect Andromeda, and I'm hoping Cyberpunk can continue the way to be able to make the game turn out as good as everyone hoped. But the intro to the game kind of sucked. And I kind of want to compare that intro to Mass Effect's intro, so without further ado, let's compare these games. Mass Effect came from a pretty powerful lineage of like some really pretty high quality, great story driven games. Cyberpunk did great things on advertising and pumping this game up to as big as it possibly could. This is the intro to the game, pretty much right where you start off at. You're thrown into a bunch of shit. And I have to say this is an older game. Well, this game is a few years old now. But graphics in this game are still pretty good. You can see some pretty detailed quality on the armor, the eyes, like the skin. Like, game starts off pretty decent quality, and I like that. And the nice part about this game is
Crazy just found us. Those rocks out there.
they let you run around this game and try out all the controls and see what everything does. And see why everything does. So right from the get-go,
and safety tip,
you get to really mess around with this game, which is pretty cool. That's something Cyberpunk really failed to do. As opposed to like, so they're teaching you how to play the game as the game goes on, which I feel like is great. Like where your power is assigned to.
Shit, this stuff got real.
And it teaches you combat, like how to shoot. Throws you into a firefight right at the beginning game, and you can see the characters learning ducking moves and blah blah blah, and doing all that kind of cool stuff. I'll showcase a little bit more of the combat in a little bit, but like, I like how this game does it. Like, this game teaches you how to play the game right from the get-go. And one of the cool things that I like about this game is you can actually, so this game is, has kind of power-based, just like Cyberpunk. You have different skills and abilities, but those skills and abilities are linked to different slots and combos in the game, if you will, that you unlock through like grenades and throwing and things like that. So I can actually change the key bindings of one of my abilities. And this is something that I don't think Cyberpunk does very well, is for your abilities are very complex and complicated. You have to do this button, that button, blah blah blah, this, that, and the other thing. So there's my charge ability. I can do that with a single button. It's just target, tap. So there it is. Jump, target, right bumper, charge. Smash the down button. So the combat in this game is intuitive, and the skills are easy to activate. So the game is relatively simple to play. In Cyberpunk, you really have to do a lot of messing around, like go in this screen to go in that screen to do all this, and you really have to do a lot of work to be able to activate your abilities instead of just like a one button press, which I really think Cyberpunk should move over to something like that.
You went scouting ahead.
So
Well, we
there's
fixed the
one of
shuttle.
my abilities, very easy to activate.
Ryder,
Just left and
there's
right
weapons
bumper.
and ammo at the shuttle.
There's my
Stop
left
that.
bumper ability,
Did this try
and
talking
my
to you
right
at
bumper I
all?
have to target to charge.
Barely a word.
I'm gonna just do a quick showcase of
Oh,
how
hell!
intuitive this
Enemy ship
combat
on the
is.
way! Get
Just
to
on
cover! Go!
normal
Go!
mode, but it can still be a little bit difficult, like even on normal.
Here they come!
They got fools to try and airdrop.
Don't let up!
Ha! Light up their shuttle!
Hold by. Oh, there we
when
go.
do
That's where we
rocks
change
grow?
weapons.
Heads up! Another shuttle incoming!
In this weather?
Guess we got their attention.
Are those dogs? I wish. They've got some weird cloaking ability. You're shitting me! Sound off!
I'm here!
Still alive!
Here!
Boy.
Present!
I can't get a beat on those things!
There's too many of them!
Just keep firing. We can do this.
Still getting used to those weapon changes.
Man, these guys don't have to fight. Ah! Damn shrapnel! Damn, they won't let up!
That's one of the things I like about this game. You can change the way you shoot in this game, which is pretty cool. This guy's low, so I'm gonna go in for the kill. There's two left. Yep. Oops. Oh my god, that guy almost wasted me. And I got two more. Oh boy. There's one down. Alright, so I think that's a good, that was a good showcase of this game's like skills and abilities. Like you're pretty maneuverable in this game.
Doesn't look far.
make
And
this quick.
combat
What
is,
about Grit?
well,
If
can
it
be
didn't turn up
difficult.
by now,
I almost got
nothing we
wasted a
can
couple
do.
of times.
The Pathfinder's all that matters.
It's simple and intuitive. Here I am in Cyberpunk and checking out the graphical quality in this game compared to Mass Effect Andromeda. I gotta say, like, the graphics are definitely good. Really doesn't feel like you're in this like futuristic world of like combat. Like I wish the combat was a little bit better. It didn't feel like any sort of kind of special shooter. But the story to this does get better overall, and you do get cooler abilities overall. I just gotta say, the intro to this game was just really kind of crappy. The intro starts you off stealing a car. You just met Jackie, and then you're all of a sudden like best friends with him. Like what? It's kind of stupid. It would have been just so much easier to say it's just like you and Jackie were already, friends, but it's like you had this, you started making money together, so you started having like a common goal or something like that. That would have made a lot more sense in this game. But it doesn't really do that. It just gives you kind of like a cheesy montage. You just meet this game and now you're friends. then it goes on to take you to kind of like these like the intros and kind of like some of the talk scenes. There's like the game feels more like a movie than like the action-y futuristic cyber world that I feel like we were promised. So it's like comparatively like Andromeda is way more actiony from the get-go. The game's actually much more based around two things, which is just more based on combat and then more based on story. That's kind of what it is. And I feel like Cyberpunk is, I guess, focuses on those two things, but focuses kind of its directions like kind of everywhere, like the action, story, games, cards, the nightlife. They kind of have a lot going on for it, which I feel like doesn't play out for a very good intro to the game. Like, I feel like the intro to the game should have been something kind of similar to, Cyberpunk. No, kind of similar. Cyberpunk should have been kind of similar to Andromeda, where they start you off shooting stuff like guns blazing, like all this kind of like badassery in nightclubs and like all that kind of stuff. That's where the game should have started. All right, let's fight the popos. But yeah, you don't get like automatic stuff in behind walls or anything like that, which I feel like should have been a thing. And so comparatively, I want to do that to show that the combat doesn't feel super unique. It just feels like another shooter. I gotta admit the sword play is kind of cool, but like I don't think there's anything super unique about the combat system.
About to kill the
It's unique. Oh, and I hate how the police just kind of like phase in. That's kind of stupid. All in all, I'd say in Cyberpunk, there's things that other games do better for each of the aspects of Cyberpunk. Like there are better driving games. There's probably games out there with better graphics, and then there are better combat games out there. So, like, those two things. So, a lot of what this game is for is, you know, by the story, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's just kind of like not what we were expecting to Cyberpunk. But this game really doesn't have me drawn in like other games, and I want to compare the two games that I just played, you know, side by side. Both games had bad launches. Cyberpunk cleaned it up pretty quick. They were good for that, but I'd have to say Andromeda has definitely like way better combat and skill systems than Cyberpunk. So far, that's me personally. I think the skill systems are better. Maybe other people like the skill systems in Cyberpunk. There's definitely games with better driving. Like the quality for the driving doesn't seem amazing. And then the combat, like I said this before, but I'm definitely harping on the combat. I feel like could have been more unique somehow, like using like an easier way to use powers during combat to make the combat feel a little bit more unique than rather just like a shooter that you can, if you play it very carefully, you can do these unique abilities, which is that's kind of what it is. All in all, I'd have to give Cyberpunk it's not that amazing game that we all expected. So the advertising they did super well. So it is not that good that we expected. But if you go through the storylines and you start to play it a little bit and you go through those couple hours, most people say this game picks up couple hours into it, and I'll say maybe 5, 6, maybe even like 6 or 7 hours like into the game, it starts to pick up. So it is a bit of trudging, but the game does pick up. So the intros to the storyline, just have to say those were not done well. But I'd still say all in all it's a pretty decent game. So yeah, this game got totally hyped up, maybe to like 1,000,000,000%, like an 11 out of 10, but the game actually plays at maybe like a 7 or 8 out of 10, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. The game's still definitely playable and can still be enjoyed, but I have to say it's not as good as we were all expecting. With that being said, that's pretty much what I got for my Cyberpunk review. I just want to compare these two games because they're pretty closely related, and both Mass Effect Andromeda and Cyberpunk had really bad releases, and I'd say they both they cleaned it up pretty quick after their launch. Maybe Mass Effect Andromeda a little bit longer. Cyberpunk feels pretty cleaned up. Now it feels like the game is playable now. That's pretty much all I got. I'm going to cut the video from here, so thanks for watching the internet, and stay tuned for next time when I bring out maybe a different review, or I might even release some like full gameplay for this. Either way, next time we'll see you later on being shot at, which I have no idea why I'm getting shot at, but I'll see you next time. Later, the internet. Like, comment, subscribe. We definitely appreciate it. See you later.